Do you love photos of Lake Minnetonka? If you're like me, you're on social media, on Facebook, going through all these incredible images, and I often wonder, who are the people behind these images? Where do they get these ideas? How do they develop this skill? Well, today I'm going to talk to Bob Israel, who's a local photographer who owns Lake Minnetonka Photography, and he's going to fill us in on how he got started and what inspires him to take these images in and around the lake area. Welcome to Tonka Talk. I'm Natalie Webster. We talk about all things community and connection in and around Lake Minnetonka. I'm very excited to talk to you today because I have been fangirling over this man's photography for I don't know how long, so has everybody in our office. If you have not heard of Bob Israel and Lake Minnetonka Photography, you must not be on social media at all because your photos are everywhere. Right off the bat, one thing I really want to know, and I think a lot of people want to know, is how did you get started doing photography?
Well, it goes back to probably the 80s is when I really started. You know, I was young. I didn't really understand the technology all that well. I just liked taking pictures. And then digital came to be. For whatever reason, it just took off. I would take pictures of my kids. My kids were hockey players. I was the team photographer. I became the team photographer. That kind of was the start of things taking off. I thought I would do a lot of sports photography, but I've always been a nature person and, love the environment, love the outdoors. And so I started doing more landscape and wildlife photography, and that's probably what I'm best known for, is doing that.
What kind of inspires you when you decide what you want to photograph? Do you kind of just see what's going on, or do you go out with a plan? What's kind of your process?
Well, it's a big advantage living on the lake because all you have to do is look out and see what you see. And so there are times where I live, looking across the lake, I might see some American white pelicans sitting on a point, go out to them and photograph them. Other times it's, we're fortunate enough, very fortunate to face west. Sunsets, all I have to do is really go out on the deck and set up and photograph it. But other times I'm just like cruising around the lake, and there's so much wildlife and diverse wildlife all around. I get some favorite spots here and there, and then they change over the seasons and things of that sort. So it's just great fun to look at the lake from that aspect as opposed to skiing and boating and things like that.
You do images year round, because I've seen some for winter as well. So you don't just go out in the summertime. If you live in the area, you already know this. If you're coming to visit, there is something to do year round on Lake Minnetonka. Winter, spring, summer, fall. There's always something going on. And that is a big part of what I love about your work, is you're capturing Lake Minnetonka in all of her seasons and all of these different times of the year.
I love the winter as much as the summer. Scenery and wildlife still, even in the winter. And then there's all the fishermen and the ice shacks and the little villages that pop up on the ice, and capturing them at different times of day and different times of the year. So there's always something beautiful to see on the lake.
Here on Tonka Talk, we share a lot of his photographs because we're absolutely obsessed. Is there a place people can go to actually buy images?
Yes, I have a website. It's bobisraelphotography.com. I think locally I prefer to work with people one-on-one. The website is good for having the print and delivery services for many things. I'd rather hear what people are interested in.
Yeah.
What type of media do you want? Do you want to print on canvas, photo paper, metal? What size do you want? Does it require a custom size? Where the website will do some of the standard things. Always an opportunity for me to meet people because I'll deliver it in person. And that way I get to see who's buying my images, and they learn more about me and I learn more about them.
Do you have a favorite type of scenery to photograph when it comes to Lake Minnetonka?
It's probably sunsets. I do a lot of sunsets. I do it with my camera. I do it with my drone. Before I moved to where I am now, I was on the facing east, and so I would photograph sunrises. It's probably the thing that I do the most. After that, it's wildlife. My favorite are bald eagles. We get them here on the lake. This is getting close to the time just before the lake freezes where they start to show up in more and more numbers, and so I'll be looking out for them.
Has anything surprised you when you've gone out to photograph, whether it's wildlife or even just with the scenery, the sunrise, the sunset, about Lake Minnetonka?
A lot of times we'll just go out boating on the lake. I'll have the camera with me, of course, not necessarily having any expectations. And sometimes I'm just surprised at how much I come back with. And not just photographing a bird somewhere on the lake, but the diversity of all the wildlife and the birds that we see out there. The bald eagles, the ospreys, the pelicans, the herons. You know, and I could come back with great shots of each of them just from one little trip, not doing anything but just cruising around.
Through your photographs, I've seen more of the wildlife around Lake Minnetonka than I think I've actually seen in person. So I didn't even realize that some of those birds even existed on Lake Minnetonka, and it's been neat because you know that as soon as you're aware of something, then you start to see it.
Right.
So I've been seeing it more once I was looking at your images. I thought that was really funny.
People on Lake Minnetonka, we love boating, we love skiing and wake surfing and maybe even partying at Big Island, but I'm hoping that I'm presenting a different part of the lake that people don't normally see.
There's so much more to discover, even when you think you know the lake or the area. And again, that's something else that I love, and that you share these images. And on Tonka Talk, we talk about a lot of the ways people create community and connection. And I've seen people come together over these images and have a new appreciation for the area. It makes me want to slow down and take the time to see that sunset in person.
Right.
Instead of just completely rushing through the day.
Yeah. And I have to do that too. Sometimes I have to put the camera down and just enjoy the sunset. You know, and I don't often do that because I look at it and I say, God, somebody should capture that. And it's like, so I got to do it. So, but yeah, sometimes I do have to just sit back and enjoy because it's spectacular.
Do you have any advice you would give someone who wanted to get into a similar type of photography that you do?
And I tell people all the time, shoot what you like and like what you shoot, and don't worry about what anybody else says. It's really just getting out there and enjoying photography and taking lots of images and learning your gear and learning about composition. I'm not at all professionally trained in photography, but it's just through time and effort and knowing what I like and being able to focus on that. Definitely enjoy the journey.
Yeah, that is great advice. If you have any questions for Bob, go ahead and post them in the comments, and then we'll encourage him to jump on and answer those. I'm going to go ahead and share a link to his website where you can purchase some of his work and continue to share his work for as long as he will let us.
Yeah, well, you know, I do watermark them.
Yeah.
You got to do that in this day and age, but yeah, I'm happy to share it. I'm just, you know, glad to be able to show the beauty of Lake Minnetonka in the area, and I hope people continue to enjoy it.
Yeah, I think they will. Thank you so much for coming and sharing.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody else, I will talk to you later.